Hello, friends. I am back to talk about what, for me, is a very unfamiliar subject.
Let me guess, it has something to do with personal hygiene.
And as a result, I am bringing some friends on to talk about it
You have friends.
because it is the 1990s.
90s, baby.
I am at a point where my 80s Hall of Fame collecting cards are with SGC. As soon as those come back with my 70s, 80s special, I will be complete all the way through 1989 for my Hall of Fame run there. And so I am going to start figuring out what cards I want for the decade of the 90s. And so I brought on a few 90s experts to help me out with that. So stick around and check it out.
I would not want to miss this.
Hello, friends. I am John, and I am the 3D 80s kid. Hello, friends. Like I said in the intro, I am here to talk about the 90s, but you might be first asking yourself at first, what the hell's going on? Are you growing a beard? My response to that is maybe. What's happened for me at work lately is that rather than going in once a week, they don't require me to go in at all anymore. And so I'm letting it go. I suppose I will make a final decision before I go to Strongsville. So if I have a beard there, then that's what you'll know whether or not I've decided to go for it all the way. But in the meantime, yeah, it looks like crap.
Ain't that the truth?
But moving on. So 1990. So what I am doing with my Hall of Fame player collecting run is that I am collecting for the 80s. I collected 2 Hall of Fame player cards for each year. I think the steroid era controversy is ruining it. So there's not as many Hall of Famers for my childhood as there were for like the golden era. And so I couldn't do a Hall of Famer for every set. So I chose to do Topps base as a continuous throughput line all the way through. I'm going to keep that going in the 90s. And then for the 80s, I chose one other set that I liked particular or was, meaningful. Like I brought an 88 score because that was the first year of score. I brought an 89 upper deck because obviously. And, I made other aesthetic choices of which sets I liked through the 80s. And so now for the 90s, which I have, minimal familiarity with, I am doing the similar thing where I'm doing 90s Topps base cards all the way through that decade. And I'm also going to choose one other set that, for whatever reason, aesthetically pleasing, most significant, the first appearance of something that made a big impact, anything like that. And with the fact that I stopped collecting in 1991, in fact, my last packs that I opened in 1991 were the glorious Bumblebee 91 Fleer.
What an eyesore!
As well as some 91 score cards. And so, I didn't ever open Stadium Club, anything that actually looked good from that year. So I have little to no knowledge of anything beyond that point. So without further delay, it's time to bring on my first experts. I have actually got 3 different people, but I could not arrange for a combined session for all of us. So I'm going to do this with, the magic of editing.
Real magic does exist.
Wow.
It's going to be spliced together so that you'll get the responses from my first 2 panelists and then the immediate response from my third panelist as I go along for each year. That I will splice it together so it'll all look like it's one continuous thing, at least on your side of the coin. It's a little work on my end, but
come on, put in some effort.
Let's bring on my guests. First up with a newer channel, only, 7 months in the game, started in August. That's my anniversary month, but I got a 2-year head start on them, is Brent Richards. Welcome to my channel, Brent.
Hey, what's going on, John?
Just having fun. We're talking baseball cards here, so what's better than that?
And what is better than that? And you beat me to the beard thing. I was gonna ask, but you already cut me off. So there you go.
All right. Yeah, I figured I should explain it since, it's starting to look really horrible. So, I'm sure I'll insert some kind of very good self-deprecating clip when I mention that. So
Easy.
all right. Your partner in ball card banter is my other guest, and that is recently 4-year veteran of the YouTube game, but very prolific. He's over 1,000 separate videos. That's an insane number. It is Shane, Shoebox Legends. Welcome, Shane.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. As a fellow work from home employee, I just want to say the beard is working for you, John. I like it.
There you
All right.
Looks good.
Thanks.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah, just occasionally there'd be times where we'd actually video conference, but I've just avoided turning my camera on for the last few weeks. So
I'm 42 years old and I can't grow one myself, so I'm also slightly envious of you.
Envious, yeah.
oh yeah, I actually had a beard grown one other time in my life. I had an incident where I cut my finger and had to have hand surgery over the summer. It was a freshman year of college chemistry class. I broke a beaker in my hand and it cut in here. I'd have a tendon repair. So I had a cast on this hand, which is my dominant hand, my shaving hand, for months for that summer. And I grew a beard and I actually went to the next year of college with it. And yeah, I was only 19 and I had a group of kids ask me if I could buy beer for them. So apparently it made me look older. So
Well, it's early yet. You can be a good Santa Claus by Christmas, so this will work out.
Now see, I'm pretty sure that's comments like that. This thing was going to be gone soon. So, but it was a lot darker when it came in when I was 19 years old. So, not sure I'm fond of the gray white thing going on now. So, but we'll see.
Don't even try.
You two guys, I've got you beat by a few years in age, so I think. I needed some 40-something-year-old guys for this show. I'm going to be 51 here in a few months. So,
Me too.
Seriously?
I just turned 50, buddy.
That's unbelievable!
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. You collect the more cards of this later era, so I did not realize we were so close in age. But
there is no comparison.
Yeah, me and Shane started in 1990, so it's kind of perfect.
All right, yeah. So I started collecting 83. Donruss was my first ever baseball cards. So
okay.
All right, welcome Brian to my channel to talk about 90s cards.
I'm honored to be here and happy to do so.
Well, who else would I bring as an expert but the high pop professor? I mean, that's what we're talking here is high pop cards, right? So
that's my jam.
Jam is also my jam. There's some wonderful jam.
Well, any particular comments you want to make on your channel, which link will be down below, by the way. So
yeah, well, my channel is High Pop Professor, and so it's inspired by the high population wax era of cards. Some people call them the junk wax era of cards, but those cards are not junk to me. I understand they were printed to the moon, so they are high population, and so I mostly am a collector of the 80s and 90s type cards, and I do like 90s inserts and things like that. My primary focus on my collection is Greg Maddux. I'm a Greg Maddux player collector, although not a completist. And I'd like to also collect Diamond King autograph cards, things like that. 80s rookies, autographs, and 90s inserts and 90s cards. So a lot of my content mostly features things about that. Could be things about grading or pack odds or all kinds of things. So if that kind of stuff interests you, check it out.
All right. Yeah, certainly cool stuff. Obviously, I decided to go the way of I couldn't afford any of these things as a kid and went older with things, but I guess you went to I couldn't afford these as a kid with rare items from your childhood instead. So
Yeah, it was one of the things I did stop collecting it around the year 2000, and I got back into it after a pandemic, and so for me, yeah, I kind of just zeroed in and targeted on the stuff that I knew pretty well already from the 90s, and yeah, there were big cards, cards that for me were just like these impossible cards, that I realized, now that I'm an adult and have like an income, is like, oh, I can actually like pick these cards up now. And so I just started doing that, getting back into it, and just having a blast ever since.
awesome stuff. All right. And I think it's really cool when you do the shows with your brother. I mean,
Yeah, brothers duo. It's so fun to do that.
yeah, as someone only with an older sister who had no interest in the slightest of sports or sports cards, I'm a little jealous of you having that. So,
Well, it's not just a brother too. My dad still collects. Our dad is still a pretty big collector for Barry Bonds. So
also jealous of that fact, as my dad has zero interest in collecting cards. He'll talk sports, but he will not care about the cards. So, all right.
it's not for everybody, but
Yeah.
definitely fortunate to have a collecting family.
I got the collecting gene from my mom. So, which, hers was records and albums with music. So
There you go.
but all right. So you're here to help me pick some 90s cards, since I have only the first couple years of any dipping my toe in 90s, as I graduated high school in 1992. So it became less important at the end of my high school, as well as then going off to college and starting my career. So
Yep.
When was 1990?
So to kick things off with what I've got, I started putting together a visual display, as an aid. Very quickly I realized that was going to break down, but let's at least show what what I started here. So I will switch us to this layout here. There we go. The non-tops cards of 1990.
Well, I can already tell you it's going to be that set for me. That Griffey you see right there, that's the one.
Yeah, I chose Griffey as the subject matter here, since he is basically the most popular player of that decade. So you will continue to see Griffey on every slide here. So, and it was a no-brainer on this one, because Upper Deck exploded onto the scene in '89, and then Leaf, was the prominent set then to come out in 1990, which I already made my pick there with a Tony Gwynn card.
Got Gwynn, all right.
So nice hitting pose with him.
Yeah, for non-tops, that's it. I mean, Shane, you can say what you want, but that set is.
Honestly, I tried to pick like some backup options for some of these years just to keep us differentiated. But like in 1990, there was just no other choice. I went with Leaf also.
I mean, it's my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Set, so.
And like Upper Deck the year before, they guessed right with Frank Thomas being in their set. So
yeah, you hit the nail on the head, John. Had we started this in 1989, Upper Deck would have been the choice. But yeah, 1 year later, it's got to be Leaf.
It's Leaf. And if I'm going with rookies, well, you already got your Gwynn, so that's perfect.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I didn't think we need to linger too long on this. There was only 6 choices, and it was completely obvious. And I went nuts collecting in 1990, honestly, because I built from packs complete sets for Donruss, Fleer, Score, and Upper Deck. Opened quite a few Leaf packs and quite a few Bowman packs. So, the crazy part is 1990. You could go to Costco and they had boxes of them on the pallets, and they were selling them half price later in the year there, where you get them for 50 cents a pack, like $18 a box. So
not to go too far off off the beaten path here, but I'm curious. You were collecting that heavily in 1990, but then you were out in 91. What was there? Was it like a life change or school or
Well,
something?
I graduated high school in 1992.
Gotcha.
So
Yep.
this is sophomore year still. Not driving really yet.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, 91, had my license, had, things to do before I went to college. So
That's how it goes.
yeah. And all right, memories. All right. I built a slideshow here to help us out, which sharing up there, we got 1990 cards, and I have featured Ken Griffey Jr. being the ultimate fan favorite of the 1990s. And here are his non-tops cards, of which 1990 had 6 choices. And, this was a huge collecting year for me. So I kind of had an idea of what big impact set of that year was. But you want to go ahead and make your choice for this one?
Yeah, so for 1990, the first couple of years going through the 90s, and by the way, thank you for inviting me on. I really think that there's only one choice that makes sense here, and at that time, the biggest, most popular, premium set of the day was 1990 Leaf, and so here's a Ken Griffey Jr. from that set, and so. And not just Griffey, but I got a couple other ones that are also fantastic. So here's a Randy Johnson. And then we also have a Tony Gwynn, one of my favorite players. We've got the Greg Maddux, of course, my main man. Cal Ripken Jr., can't go wrong there. But the big one, there were a couple big rookies in there, Sammy Sosa, but Frank Thomas is the big one. And so, and my dog is trying to pound down the door here, so
all right,
I have to forgive that. But yeah, this was the biggie. This is the card I would recommend specifically that anyone target if you're looking at picking up some amazing card from 1990. This is the one I would go for. This is in an SG. I'm sorry, this is in a CSG 9, mint 9, and this card it used to be like $100 card. It used to be this big card. But now you can pick this up in a mint 9 grade for like $20, $25. If it's PSA, maybe 30. But yeah, it won't break the bank. It's a gorgeous card from a fantastic set. And so yeah, this is a great card to pick. It would probably be my single choice for 1990 because the Topps no name on front is just a little bit pricey. So much more affordable option.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Great card there. So one caveat with my collecting is for budgetary reasons, especially as I got through vintage, I avoided rookie cards. So I know that, they can be cheap, especially 80s, 90s, but just as, on principle, I'm sticking with the no rookies across the board. But It was nice. One of the cards you showed was actually the card I've already chosen for my collection. Which is right here, which is the Tony Gwynn.
Very good. Love it.
I have here in the SGC 9.
Fantastic choice.
Cost, I believe, even less than the cost of grading because someone put it up for an auction.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
So,
nice pickup.
Thank you. Yeah, I was opportunistically looking for anything that I was targeting. If someone had it already graded, they put it up for auction at, less than what it should sell for, and they get no attention. So I think I maybe paid $10 for it. So
there you go. That's the way to do it. Yeah, I know Brent Richards also loves that set. A bunch of other 90s collectors I know just really have fond memories of that set and how big it was for the time.
Oh yeah, because it to me, 89 Upper Deck was obviously the choice set for 89.
Oh yeah,
and then Leaf comes in and it's like even prettier. I mean, I think they even stepped it up from the Upper Deck.
Somehow they did more with less. They didn't have holograms on their cards, but there was something about that set that just really spoke to collectors. and it screamed premium. Again, without the use of a hologram. So go figure.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they were selling 1990 Upper Deck at Costco for half price once he got a little bit into that year. So, yeah, it's crazy how much you could ultimately get those for $18 a box there the second half of that year. So,
if only we had a time machine.
Oh, yeah. Of course, how much more does a box cost now of a 90 Upper Deck since they neglected to include Frank Thomas? So,
well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
The story takes place in 1991.
On to 91. Gets a little more interesting here. So, yeah, like I said, the only sets highly familiar to me are the Bumblebee and the Score, which had a decent looking set.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. There's some great inserts in the Fleer and stuff, but the base cards, it's a no brainer for me. Stadium Club, #1 Stadium Club. The cards you have right there is one of the good ones. Frank Thomas would be the other one I would say for sure. Has an awesome image on it, and it's not a rookie card, but the Nolan Ryan is my card that I would get if I only had one. But the famous tuxedo card.
I figured after Ball Card Banter episode number 3 that would be about the only pick for this year from both of you.
That would be it. I mean, I remember the Ultra coming out, and it was special. Leaf, I had such a love affair with 90 Leaf. When 91 came out, I loved it as well. I built all those sets and stuff, but I started doing less of the Donruss Fleer type of stuff when those sets started hitting, and having OPG in America with the Premier. Shane had hockey and stuff before, but for those of us that just collected baseball, this was our introduction right here. And, OPG Premier was a Premier brand product. So I bought some of that, but I didn't build any sets or anything like that. But Stadium Club was a world changer. So it was huge. I had all of it, both series. Of course, I collect a bunch of PSA 10s now. That's 90 Leaf and 91 Stadium Club are two of my top probably 3 sets ever, with 84 Donruss being #1.
Yeah, same. I mean, I want to disagree with Brent here just to make this interesting, but it's got to be Stadium Club for 91. I feel like in 1989, Upper Deck, got the upper hand, and I feel like Stadium Club in 1991 is where Topps kind of punched back and got themselves right back on level playing ground. I think the backs of those cards with the first Topps card are as good as any card back that existed up until that point in time. So got to go Stadium Club.
Totally, man. I mean, you got the rookie card there. You can't beat it. But yeah, there's some classic cards, but this is obviously the key one. And then the Griffey and the Thomas are also awesome. And of course, if you want to get Gwyn, the Gwyn card has a really great smile, but I don't think you're going to do back-to-back Gwyns.
No, I'm just doing a single card of every player ultimately for my wall display. So
yeah.
And I kind of knew that Stadium Club was the only pick, and I have one that is currently at SGC.
Okay.
And I have another copy that was gifted to me by Brad 8671 that I did not want to crack from its slab and leave it in my special area of gift cards to keep. And it is this copy right there.
There you go.
So
yeah, one of the best images ever put on a card.
Yeah, and the moment I saw that image, I knew that was my choice. So the first 2 years here, I'd already made permanent choices. So admittedly, but the rest I am still wide open. So moving forward,
would you go with the Griffey, Shane?
Probably, yeah. And I'm very grateful we didn't both get on and say 91 Fleer. That would have ruined John's whole spot here,
Yeah.
Now, I mean, some people really hate that one, but it really stands out. I mean, look at this display. I mean, it just draws your eyes in with that bright yellow, doesn't it? So
it does. I think it's a real clean, classy design. Other than the color, you look at it next to Donruss with all the wild 90s-ness. If you change the color of that Fleer, it's a pretty good looking card, but man, the yellow was a little bit too bright.
More muted color does make it a really nice design, and way better than the Donruss. I agree. So, but all right, Next year is 91. So 91, I've got a Bowman, a Donruss, the Bumblebee Fleer Griffey. We got the Leaf again. We brought in OPC Premier as a set. We've got Score. We've got the new entry of Topps Stadium Club. Another new one of Fleer Ultra. And then again, Upper Deck. So.
Yeah. So my choice for 91, also probably not too surprising. I'm guessing everyone else you asked probably had the same answer for 90. They probably will have the same answer for 91 as well. But I went with Stadium Club. I think the Stadium Club is really the only clear-cut winner that we would have for 91. We're talking like ultra premium, photography. I mean, they had the Kodak logo on the pack wrapper, for goodness sake. I mean, they were very proud of their photography. We had borderless cards. These images went all the way to the edge. They were glorious. They were gorgeous. Here's a Griffey. Here's a beautiful Frank Thomas, which, although it's not a rookie card, it was coveted almost like a first Topps card, or in this case, for a Stadium Club card. And for a long time was a fairly pricey one. And now they also had a variant. They had the Stadium Club Dome set that had other rookies like Emmanuel Ramirez, which was technically not part of the official Stadium Club set. So that's a little bit cheating. But the one I'm going to select for this one is another, and I know that you're not doing rookie cards. And so maybe Frank Thomas would be the one I would choose for you. But this one, Jeff Bagwell. This is a Jeff Bagwell rookie from 91 Stadium Club. This one's an autographed one. And so it's just a beautiful copy, beautiful autograph of an excellent Hall of Famer, great career, solid slugger, love the auto. But knowing that you don't really do rookies, the one I would recommend for you would be this Frank Thomas, which I realized I recommended Frank Thomas for 90 Leaf also, but that was before I realized you didn't do rookie cards. So in that case, this is my choice for you.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I kind of already figured that Stadium Club, is smart enough to realize Stadium Club was the most prominent new entry there.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's the one.
And I had already chosen Frank Thomas, and Brad8671 was kind enough to send me his PSA 9 copy.
Beautiful.
And I actually didn't want to crack this. Didn't think it was worth, cracking. So I ended up sending in my own raw card that is currently in an SGC order that, who knows when it'll come back. They're on a little bit of delay from their normal speediness, but it'll be in my hands soon. But yeah, the Frank Thomas was an obvious choice. It's such a great shot. So.
Nice. Very nice.
Published in 1992.
Here's where we start getting crazier. Let's move along to 19. What was that?
This is going to get fun now.
Yeah. All right. So here, Bowman, Donruss, Fleer, Leaf, OPC Premier, Pinnacle, Score, Stadium Club, Triple Play, Fleer Ultra, and Upper Deck was the.
Yeah, there's so many choices in this one. Now, I will say 92 Bowman was a big deal when it came out. It was the next progression, and that 90 Leaf kind of a card, it was the big deal. Mariano was not the key card when that came out, but, it became later once he started doing what he did. But for me, as far as tops, are we going back and doing tops later on this?
I wasn't specifically doing tops.
For tops in this year, there's a no-brainer for me. The Ripken Gehrig card is the one to do. That. It's Ripken with the Gehrig plaque there. Before he broke the streak. Now this is a gold parallel, all that kind of stuff, but you can do the base one if you're just doing base cards. But as far as cards out of the 92 top set, that's the one. But
I have already a Ripken on the wall with 84 Donruss. So
yeah, in a different decade, yes. Now 92, the rest of them, I know Shane will agree with me, but Ultra was just the bomb design. that came out that year. It was just so amazing. The backs of these things were just fantastic. We had never really seen anything like that before. Not a whole lot of stats. They just did kind of the 1 year, but you know, the photos and everything on the back, full color, and then the way they did the fronts of these to try to kind of be like Stadium Club, but not. You got the kind of the green marble at the bottom. That was an awesome one. Stadium Club, if I had to pick one from 92, it'd be that one. They did these members' choice cards, and the Griffey is just so classic. If I did Stadium Club. And then if you do Fleer, it was the 1 year that they didn't have the Provisions as separate inserts. So it's still a base card, but they did the Provisions in the set. So technically you could call it a base card. These are by far the best things in the set instead of just, you know, the standard base card of a player. But those are all good choices. But
well, they had those in 91 also, didn't they?
But they're inserts.
Oh, okay. Because I have a few from the packs I opened, but
yeah, they're numbered with by themselves. They're not numbered within the set. So 92 Fleer, that's the only way I would go with that. That image you have of Griffey with the triple exposure was a big card. That was awesome. But I would say Ultra for me is the set. Just looking at these. But I remember Pinnacle with the black. That was kind of a neat thing because it hadn't happened in a while with the black borders, you know, like 71 tops, all that. But yeah, I would say Ultra for me. And I think Shane talked about it. It kind of expanded to other sports as well.
Yeah, I had Fleer Ultra for 92 also. I swear I'm not just agreeing with Brent on every one of these, but the design was just awesome. Like Brent said, you know, same design across all sports. So you could get, you know, Wayne Gretzky in hockey and Barry Sanders in football, Michael Jordan and Ken Griffey Jr., if you care about that type of thing, all on that consistent design, which I love. And they also had I know you're not doing rookie cards, John, but they had the foil rookie ribbon that came down off of the Ultra logo. It's not really focusing too well, but for like when I was a kid, that was a sign of somebody who's going to be a star. And if I had to mention a runner-up, just to vary from Brent a little bit, this one's kind of outside the lines. It's not on your slide there, but a one and done was 1992 Topps Kids baseball. They only made this set this 1 year. They're really fun, like hand-drawn caricature cards, full cartoons on the back, just like the cards from the mid-50s, and obviously a set that was geared at kids. Really, maybe almost for the last time, like as the hobby, you know, started to change and evolve in the 90s towards investors and that type of thing. I love the innocence of Topps Kids, so that would be my runner-up.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Gaudi thing going on there with the caricatures. I love it.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's true. I'd say Ultra number one. Even though Bowman was the one I was buying the packs of and building all the sets and stuff, but the best design there is Ultra. If I had to have one card that's not Topps, it's that one.
All right. Let's go on to 92. So here we get a little more crazy. We've added Bowman. We still have Donruss, Fleer, Leaf, OPC Premier. We've added Pinnacle. We've got Score, Stadium Club, added Triple Play. We still have Fleer Ultra, and we still have Upper Deck.
Yeah, so by choice for 92, I also don't really think that this is a very contentious one. I feel like this is probably going to be other people's choice too, but hey, my choice would be 92 Bowman. And so here's and again, yes, it's a rookie card, but I'm going to show it anyway. There are a couple notable rookies in here. This one's the Mike Piazza rookie card. He had a rookie in 92 Bowman, but also 92 Fleer Update. And so this is probably the second most well-known rookie in this set. The first being the Mariano Rivera, the one where he looks like he's 12 years old outside the stadium in plain clothes. So that's probably the most famous one. This is probably the second most famous one, but there's a bunch of rookies in here as well. Delgado, Manny Ramirez, if you don't count his Stadium Club Dome set one. You got Trevor Hoffman. The other one I would pick, it's not a rookie card, might be this guy, Pedro Martinez. Now, technically, looking at the back of the card, it looks like it should be a rookie card, except that he has a 91 Upper Deck Final Edition card, card number 2 in that set. And so technically that's his rookie card. So that leaves this one available. And so there's a bunch of great choices in 92 Bowman. Here's one possible one you could pick. So I'm throwing that out there. But there's a bunch of great choices to pick from.
Yeah, I think on the last program, there might have been a little Boston Red Sox bias on that front because I was getting some recommendations of Pedro a little bit later in his career. But
I see. Yeah.
We have actually veered off course from my previous guests as they both opted for Fleer Ultra as the best set of that year, with the Bowman being their secondary choice.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So,
I can't fault that. The one thing I'll say about Fleer Ultra is that you're going to think I'm weird when I say this, but I mean it. And anyone who remembers this knows what I'm talking about. When you open those packs, the smell of those cards, you will never forget. They have a unique smell about them. So throwing that out there. Now, if all cards are on slabs,
is it good, bad? What?
Oh, it's fantastic. I would try to describe it, but I really can't. And so you just have to, just trust me on this. Just like find yourself an old pack, buy one for $1.50 or something, and open it up and just drink it in. It's amazing.
Okay.
Just gonna throw that out.
Interesting.
Yep.
Because that's one thing I've enjoyed with the vintage cards is doing some of them raw, so I could smell the different smells of the different cardboard. So.
And that's something that you lose. You lose the tactile. You lose some of that when you encapsulate it into these plastic coffins. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I have slabs as well, but
Yeah.
There's something to be said about a raw card that you can actually hold and touch and feel the texture. And I don't know. I think there's something to be said there that gets lost. So.
All right.
Sometime in 1993.
Yes.
Getting crazier now.
If Brian disagrees with any of this, he's wrong.
All right. 93. So here we got Bowman, Donruss, Finest, Flair, Fleer, Leaf, OPG, Premier, Pinnacle, Score, Select, SP, Stadium Club, Triple Play, Ultra, and Upper Deck were the ones I found. So
yeah, this one is where it really got good. I mean, 3 of my favorite sets ever came out in this year, and they're all groundbreaking type of things. And then you have the SP, of course. Jeter ended up being the big deal in the SP. But if you're not going with rookie cards, and if you like Braves and stuff, there's a Chipper Jones card in 93 SP that is the bomb. It is just an absolutely gorgeous card. By today's standards, they would say this is a rookie card, but his rookies were the draft pick cards in 91 with tops and stuff. So, but this is a absolutely beautiful card. I didn't have a copy at hand, so I just pulled it up on my phone. But if you're going to go with SP, which I wouldn't, that's it. Now, Flair was the first thick card ever, and it was the first card that had that kind of beauty. It had like a cinematic feel to it. You had an awesome action shot. This is one of my favorite ones in the set as far as the way it looks, with Ricky, obviously a Hall of Famer. But they just looked amazing. Front and back were just gorgeous cards, but they were the first ones on a thicker stock ever made. Of course, there's stuff now that's way thicker, but that was an absolute groundbreaking set. And then Studio went from being ugly to being one of the best looking sets of all time. This is one of my favorite cards ever. Is the Ken Griffey 93 Studio. So that card is
I wasn't even capturing those ones because I saw it in the first year it appeared, and they looked cheesy.
Yeah, 91 and 92 were so bad. You had the pink border, had the tan border, but they did this with a holographic signature, holographic foil, the stitching with the patch in the background, and this beautiful photography. Griffey with the backward hat and the smile. One of my favorite cards ever. But the set I would have to go with, the most groundbreaking, first ever chromium set ever, is going to be Finest. Now, this is a promo. This is not a regular one. You'd have to go with the base one. Now, refractors is the big thing, but they are extremely expensive. Like, it's $5,000 for an Owen Ryan refractor in this set. It's ridiculous. But they're very expensive. But if you're going with base, there's a lot of good stars you could choose in this set. This just happens to be a promo card I have. But the first ever chromium card and the first ever set with refractors, even though some of these are my favorite looking sets ever, Finest is an absolute groundbreaker.
Oh, Brent somewhat stole my thunder there, so I got to go with Finest also for the same reason. Just now, there's a caveat though. This would be like a two-part answer. So if you wanted to go refractor, like Brent said, I would go with Finest because it's really important in the history of the hobby, for better or worse. Those are the first refractors ever made, so they're really significant.
I don't think
like
I'm paying for one of those for a Hall of Famer.
Be probably price prohibitive. It is for me. I don't own any 93 Finest Hall of Famer refractors. So
I mean, that's why I'm avoiding rookies in the first place, was for price reasons. So I'm definitely not stepping on that game.
So in that case, then I would actually go with 93 Upper Deck baseball. I always love this set. It's like a really clean design. It reminds me of some of those sets from like the 80s, like 88 Tops, where the player kind of goes over the Upper Deck logo across the top to kind of give it like a 3D effect. Killer photography, like this Ryan Sandberg leaping in midair with Wrigley, the ivy behind him. And the backs of the cards had giant, second photographs, just really clean. Love this set. Love collecting it in 93. And as far as like just clean, beautiful looking base card design, I think you could do a lot worse than Upper Deck. Here's some other examples, like Ozzie Smith turning 2. And again, like that 3D effect of the baseball and his arm extending right over the word Upper Deck. These just look great. And then here's the Nolan Ryan with that same kind of effect. Looks like the ball's just coming right at you. So as far as, a standard base card, I just always love this set. Really, really gorgeous cards.
Yeah.
So I'd go with Upper Deck.
And you could get Hall of Famers real cheap in that stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, that Ozzie Smith card is really cool, by the way. So it's already making the wheels turn of maybe it's better than the one I picked for him in the 80s. So, yeah, you're giving me decisions to make here. So
yeah.
Now is your run fluid? So for example, if you picked up that Smith, could you rotate out the one from the 80s and find a new one from that year, or do you try to avoid doing that?
Right now, if Theo's watching this, he just laughed at you asking that question, because he would say that I'm always fluid. And I've got multiple people saying, when you change your mind again, I want that card that you own. So hit me up first. So
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah. But,
yeah, 93 is just chock full of amazing sets. So
okay, and that's interesting there. We're on to 93.
Yes, indeed.
And now we're up to 15 cards I've got displayed. So I've got the Bowman Donruss, Finest, Blair is another new entry, Fleer, OPG Premier again, or no, that one's Leaf, and then OPG Premier, Pinnacle again. Then we've got that is Score. Then we have Score Select, a new one. We've got SP for the first time, Stadium Club, Triple Play, Fleer Ultra, and then Upper Deck. So
yeah, that's a bunch to pick from, and so now the innovation era is really kicking up into high gear. This is the first year that all of these sets have decided to like try their hand at a premium version, a premium trading card for their respective companies. And so for this one, now I feel like there exists a correct choice here, which I would expect everyone to sort of put as their correct choice. But I don't want to poo-poo the fact that there's going to be some other legitimately good choices that you could put out here too. So I've got a first runner-up and second runner-up, and so I think we have to have some honorable mentions here. And so the first honorable mention I'm going to say is 93 SP. And so SP, this was Upper Deck's hand at their first premium set, and it was a premium set. It had beautiful foil pack wrappers, as well as of course the foil rookies that were in there. I understand you're not looking for rookies here. The most common rookie we talk about here is this Jeter, of course.
Yeah.
So seeing as how you're not doing rookie cards, something else that sets SP apart from the other Upper Deck sets is the fact that the hologram on the back is in gold instead of silver. And that's true with every SP card. And so I don't know if you realize that. A lot of collectors don't know about that. Just as the Upper Deck does have a gold variant for their hologram at 1 in every 15 factory sealed sets, the gold hologram shows up on every SP card. And so that's kind of a cool one. So here's a Greg Maddux. My first runner-up, and this is one of those that just doesn't really have any hobby relevance at all. And so no one talks about this set, but it's gorgeous and it's beautiful. And it's the 93 Fleer Flare. It didn't have like really any notable inserts. Well, okay, I guess it had your Wave of the Future. So here's a Mike Piazza. But it wasn't a true rookie or anything like that. But here's a Randy Johnson. It featured this sort of, this beautiful thick cardstock. It had this this beautiful gold filigree script on there. It's just a really high end, especially for the time, 93. Here's a Cal Ripken. And we've got, of course, my guy, Maddux. Just a couple more. We got Bagwell here. And so I had to just mention it because these are just absolutely stunning cards that people overlook, but you could probably get a nice graded copy of one of those for a really affordable price. And of course, the only one that's the correct answer, like I said before, would be the first Chromium card in the hobby, the birth of the Refractor. We've got 93 Finest. Here's a Tim Salmon, probably the most skilled player who never was an all-star ever in his career, but he wasn't. And so and of course, Finest was also kind of an interesting set because it didn't really have any notable rookies in it either. Neither did Flair, by the way. So here's a Tim Salmon. This is what most of the base cards look like. And most of them had centering that was about like this, which is to say noticeably off-centered. That was pretty typical for the set. They also had the baseball's best all-stars. And so here's a Greg Maddux. This is not the Refractor version. That's fine. I have one of those too, but this is not that one. But yeah, they're beautiful, but two very different designs, whether you want the all-star or you want a standard looking card from that set. So, but I think 93 Finest would be a good choice. I think that if you're going to choose 93 Finest, I don't have this card, but I would recommend if you want an all-star version of a card, I would go for Nolan Ryan. It's still a playing days card for him. And so it's, I think, it's really significant the fact that he actually has a playing days Chromium card. If you want one similar to one like this, I might go for George Brett for much the same reason. We have these guys that were stars from back in the 70s. And again, playing days, Chromium cards of those guys. So I might recommend either of those as a really good choice.
Well, at this point, I've already got a 72 Ryan on the wall and a 79 Brett. So,
oh, you're trying to get different Hall of Famers. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's got to be younger in their career because if they were prominent in vintage, I got a vintage. So is what it amounted to. So,
all right, fair enough.
Yeah, but
well, then maybe Piazza. Again, it's for a while that was considered a rookie card of his, but again, his only technical rookie cards should be 92 Bowman and 92 Fleer Update. So you could go for Piazza. I would assume.
Yeah, I didn't think it was rookie because 93 Topps has his rookie cup card,
right?
But then they don't call that one a rookie. So
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. You, I believe, I'm a little scrambled, but I think you covered like the same sort of sets as both of them with your three choices.
I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, it's not that we didn't like talk about these beforehand or anything, but it's just that the best rise to the top, and these are just some of the best sets that are out there, and so I'm happy to discuss that. I assume no one would pick Flair first, but it's one that came to mind for me. It was a set that actually my brother and my dad and I all collected our own sets back in '93, and so we weren't really set builders, but we tried our hand at that one because we just loved the design of the cards so much. And so that was a fun thing that we did.
The only surprise set that was mentioned was Shane was particularly fond of the 93 Upper Deck. He likes the sort of popped out perspective of the player where it's covering up the upper deck, even with the, where it projects into the logo.
Yeah, protrudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, I can respect that for sure. Yeah, it's a great set. And it's got the gold hologram variant too, if you want to get something a little more premium.
Well, even you saying that, SP was Upper Deck's premium product, to me feels weird because I always viewed Upper Deck itself as a premium product.
That's a fair look. That's a fair analysis. And it wasn't really until, what was it, 94, where they had the collector's choice, which is their lower end. And then they had Fun Pack also, which was also another lower end. So they kind of branched out both directions there. But I agree with you. Upper Deck always felt like it was, if here's your mid-level, Upper Deck always felt a little bit higher than that, even before
because I didn't start mass buying them in 1990 until they were selling them half price because there were too many.
Right.
So I never opened a single pack of 89 because those were expensive. I could buy tops for 45 cents a pack. So
hard to beat that. Those days are long gone, man. I remember those.
Everything that existed in 1994.
Next, 94. So we've added a Bowman Best set to the mix. We've added, was this the first collector's choice?
I believe so.
And then we also added something else. Oh, was this a select down here? Oh, and then OPG actually looked different this year.
Totally.
Than the tops.
Yeah. We didn't even have
I included that. So
yeah. For me, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, Finest is still good. Flair is exceptional in 1994. You can't see it here. If you see one in person, though, they're unbelievable looking cards. But I would go with the Bowman's Best. Now, this is one of my favorite images of Sosa. Obviously, not a Hall of Famer for other reasons, but this is a refractor. Now, you can get into refractors in this set for not a lot of money, which is the cool thing. Not quite like, dealing with 93 Finest just being the groundbreaker, but first Bowman's Best ever, and you'd get the refractors. That's what I would do, is get a refractor in this set, since they're not as bad as some of the other ones in price, or even the base ones of these are pretty cool. But yeah, it was the first one of these sets, and then Flair is exceptional looking when you see those in person. That would be my choice on any of this. Now, Pacific, I love Pacific. There's tons of different types of Pacific, and I'll do videos on all that kind of stuff. There's some stuff that's amazing. A lot of them more amazing.
Didn't Pacific start in 95 though? Because I have those in 95.
Well, I see it here. There's a Pacific Crown Griffey there on the second row.
Oh yeah, that's what that one is. Okay, there was two sets then in 95, just with the one in 94. Okay.
Yeah, they came out with the Prism even before this, Pacific Prism, which is now owned by someone else, and they spell it with a Z. It's a different thing, but it did.
Well, I had Pacific Prism in the 95 slide coming up. So
okay, cool. But I would go definitely Bowman's Best, and then I would take Flair as a second, just because I took Finest in 93. I wouldn't do it back to back, even though I probably could if you're talking about the refractors and stuff. But if we're trying to diversify a little bit, I'll go away from it.
Yeah, kind of being a type collector, I'm not going to be duplicating back-to-back years anything here. So
exactly. So that's my deal.
And I do actually have exposure to Flair as a set, because I don't know if you guys caught me showing my Michael Olowokandi cards in a recent video. Yeah, the Flairs are some of the prettiest ones of his. So those were 98 though for him. So
no, 94s are incredible.
So I'm going to differ from Brent finally here. I would echo what he said about the Finest refractor. So if you wanted to get a Finest refractor, but you don't want to pay for a 93 like most of us, the 94s aren't cheap, but they're not prohibitively expensive either. So you could get a Hall of Famer Finest refractor from 94. But I'm going to go a different direction. I'm actually going to go with Pinnacle. And the reason is for this parallel in particular, which is known as Museum Collection.
Yeah.
But it's Dufex, they call it, technology that Pinnacle patented, I think, the year prior. like in 1993, but this is the first year they did them in the base set. So they paralleled the whole entire base set. This is the Tony Gwynn, but you see the player has like this great like rainbow foil type element, and then there's this great like radiating foil effect in the background. So the base cards don't look like this at all, but these parallels are really neat. Unlike the finest refractors, they're not rare, they're not expensive. You can get a Hall of Famer for probably $5 or $10, and they're really cool looking cards, and kind of a sign of the innovation that took place in that decade. So pinnacle for me.
I had that for 95, so we're yeah. When if you're going to go Dufex, which was Museum, and then later on it was Starburst, if you're going to go with those parallels, then there's nothing like them.
All right.
Very affordable too.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. But all right, let's move on to 94, getting even crazier. So now I've got Bowman. I've also got Bowman's Best. We've added also Collector's Choice. Then we've got was this Donruss, then Finest, then Flair again, Fleer, Leaf, and then OPC standard set actually looked different from Tops that year, so I included it. Then we got Pacific in the mix now with their first set. Pinnacle, Score, Score Select again, SP, Stadium Club, Triple Play, Ultra, and then Upper Deck. So,
all right. Yeah, so 94, there's for me, there's two sets here that really jump out. And so you know, given on a given day, I could feel either way about it. But I will give my honorable mention first, just because we're looking for the best design of a base card, and both of these are just incredible designs. But my honorable mention, or my first runner-up, is going to go to 94 Bowman's Best. And so here's a Greg Maddux. This set was the very first inaugural year of Bowman's Best. It was the first time that players like Derek Jeter had a refractor. This is Derek Jeter's first refractor is from this set. He wasn't in 93, wasn't in 94 Finest, but he was in 94 Bowman's Best as a blue rookie or young prospect card. The problem with this set, though, is that it really aged poorly. This was maybe the first set to exhibit extreme hulking or greening of these cards in the background, and so you might notice that there's like splotches on some of the players' faces, or their uniforms look a little tarnished, or like you see that, you know, what looks like a pronounced sweat stain all over their body. That's going to be the hulking, the greening, and it affected the blues way worse than the reds. And so this set, for that reason, although it's a really cool, iconic design, and I do love them, I'm gonna give the first choice to.
I mean, is that with was that with refractors, or even base cards turn green?
Great question. Every base card, even the base cards have it. This one has a decent degree of it. It's hard to see because it's pretty evenly done on there. But you look, especially along the bottom where his pants meet that nameplate there. Really tough to see, but you can see there's definitely a line on there.
Yeah,
it's fairly evenly hulked out, so it's not as noticeable. But it's not just the refractors that hulk out. The base cards will do it too. This is one of the issues with 96 Topps Chrome. The Kobe Bryant rookie is one of those that gets hulked out, even the non-refractor version as well.
Yeah.
So for that reason, as much as I love those sets and love that design, I think if we're looking for the best base set design from 94, I think you have to go with Leaf Limited. Is just stunning and gorgeous cards. Here's a Greg Maddux and a Mike Piazza. And these cards are just fantastic. You've got these little hollow foil accents on the sides. You have this shiny silver, almost mirror finish. You can actually kind of see, I can see myself in these cards. They're very, very condition sensitive. The corners and the surface especially are really, really tough. So really tough to get in a really good high grade. And then there's also there was a gold All-Stars insert. And so here's a Maddux and here's a Griffey. that look almost the same, but instead of silver, they're gold. And this was the first set that serial numbered their boxes, as far as I'm aware. But they actually kept track of that, and they were very cognizant of the fact that they were in a high production era. The golds are numbered out of 10,000, which again seems like a gigantic number for our modern sensibilities. But back for that time, this was the same numbering that the Donruss Elites were numbered out of. And those things, because of the high production run of all the cards, they were really hard to find. And so for me, again, this design is just it can't be beat. So whether you want to splurge for a gold, I understand technically that's a parallel. But if you are looking for a base kind of card like that, you can't go wrong with Leaf Limited.
All right. That is definitely a different choice than either of our previous guests made. So
I'm curious to know what they picked.
I think they both said that the Bowman's Best set was significant.
Mm-hmm. Well, for significant, and that's the other part too about
right.
is the part of that I think is in understanding and clarifying what the assignment is. Is the assignment, are we looking for hobby significance? If we are, I would have mentioned Fleer Flare for 93. But if we're
I mean, it's a mixture of both to me. I mean, I want the cards to look good, but then I also kind of want to tell the story of the progression of cards. So
exactly. So I think the first year of any set is going to carry some significance with it, and that does factor in. It plays in for sure later on as we're going. So.
And I think just aesthetically, then Brent was a huge fan specifically of 94 Flair. So
gotcha. Yeah, that's lovely. Yep.
1995, remember?
Gonna get even crazier now. 95.
All right.
Added, like I said, the Pacific Prism next to the other Pacific. We also added Select. I forget what the special set was. We added a Zenith, which is that related to Pinnacle now?
Oh, it's Pinnacle Zenith, yeah.
Okay, because they just called it Zenith on the thing. And we had also a Score Summit was added. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here, but the exact card that I picked for this is the Bubblegum Griffey from 95 Pinnacle. So it's so classic. It's the image everybody remembers, and there is a Dufex version of that. Look at that. There's Shane with that one. So yeah, the Dufex version of that is what I would go with. There you go. So if you're talking about a specific card, there it is right there.
This was part of a gift care package from this one was Legends of the Dugout, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you already have Griffey in your run, but if you don't, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah. I don't know if you. Yeah,
if it was someone else, I'm sorry.
If you can't duplicate a player through the whole run, I totally understand. 95.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted the classic one of the good shots of him swing follow through because he's got such a pretty swing. I mean,
and there's a lot.
I feel like of any player that I got to watch, he's got the most beautiful swing.
Yeah, and there's so many different years of that. It just happens to be this year. That's what I would pick. But it's just cool that you put it on there. 95 Flair also is just insane looking. It looks so good. They added kind of a texture to the background. It's not a parallel. It's just gorgeous. I don't know if Shane has one laying around, but I couldn't find one offhand. But those are just fantastic cards. But you already have the Griffey up there, so you know what that looks like. But as far as sets, other than that, man, that might have to be. Yeah, I'd either go with that exact Pinnacle Museum Griffey, or I would go with something out of Flair. Because we've already done Finest, Bowman's Best. Of course, I love Stadium Club and Upper Deck, all that through all the years. But that's what I would go with. If I can't go with the other one, I would go with the 95 Flair. It looks awesome.
So I have a different one for 95 that's actually not on the slide here. And I think it was a one and done, but it was a pretty major release. So I do think it'll hopefully count. But
Nice.
these were the emotion cards. They're
Yes.
called
Yep.
Skybox Emotion. So just
Skybox Emotion.
I
They had
saw
really
that
great
in the
backs.
list. I clicked on it, and at least the example I saw seemed kind of cheesy. So,
yeah, I think they're great. I just pulled a couple of them here. Here's like a Roger Clemens.
They have the
My
name-
one complaint, so these are, the set is called Emotion, and it's supposed to, on the front of each card have a player's emotion. So one might say like anger or excitement or whatever. This one says Rocket, which is not an emotion. And this one says Junior, which is not an emotion. So there's a negative. But overall, they're really just like classy feeling cards with like a good build quality. They really feel high end. There's some nice foil like in the logo. And I think they were pretty expensive. And at least I remember at the time, highly sought after between me and my childhood friends. So I went with Emotion just to keep it interesting.
Yeah, they were expensive, but they had some of the best photography in the whole decade.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful set.
The Ripken card is exceptional in that Emotion. It's awesome, but it's all about the images on that set. It's amazing. So yeah, it's not here, but that is a really good choice if you could find someone you like in that one.
All right.
And also very affordable, no like crazy expensive parallels or anything. I think it's just the base cards and some inserts. So
yeah, unless you have a promo card, and even those are pretty cheap. So it's easy.
Good stuff to chew on there. All right, 95. We're getting even crazier. So we still have Bowman. Now we have some. That's the Bowman's Best. Then I have Collector's Choice. I've got Donruss Finest, Fleer, who suddenly decided to put some of these things that you don't want on the front of the card in 95. What the hell were they thinking? Then what is that one? I don't know. It's next to Pacific Prism. We got Pinnacle with the bubble gum there. We've got Score Summit, I think is what that one was. And then Score Select. And then Score Select, some kind of premium version. I forget what was after Select, but then there was SP and that one is, I don't remember.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Then we got Ultra Upper Deck, and then Zenith from what is that from the Pinnacle folks?
Yep, Pinnacle. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, even more sets to choose from in 1995.
Yeah, 95. So again, if we're talking about excluding hobby significance at all, I think I've got a couple choices here. I got a couple honorable mentions, but then I've got my top choice as well. So honorable mention, I got to go for the very first time that Fleer teamed up with Skybox. The first time Fleer and Skybox teamed up together for a baseball release, and they came up with this amazing set that was called Emotion. And these Emotion cards, so this is a Frank Thomas and a Pudge Rodriguez, and these were very thick, durable, sturdy cards, really well, high quality control. These were just glorious cards. I think they're just amazing. And it gets no love. There were, I don't know, it's completely irrelevant in the hobby today. No one would probably give this choice today. I happen to love the cards, so I'm going to just give them a shout out. For me, I also really love 95 Bowman's Best.
So before you move on,
yes,
Shane cited that same set was his favorite, and
it's so good. I
didn't show one because I looked it up, and then it seemed cheesy, like it said excitement on the guy's card or something.
I was gonna say, one of my favorite Griffey inserts. I didn't even pull this one because we're not looking at inserts, right? We're looking at base cards. But one of my very favorite Griffey inserts is from 95 Emotion, and it's the N tense. In fact, it's right here, this card right there, and it's just gorgeous. It's a beautiful etched foil design with this hollow foil in the background, and it is just stunning. I love this card, and Anyway, so I've got to give at least an honorable mention. I don't think it belongs as the top choice, but it's definitely up there. So I've got to say that. Also, Bowman's Best, definitely up there for this year, 95. They kept with the reds and the blues. Here's a Piazza, here's a Maddox, of course. Larry Walker, here's another guy that would be a good Hall of Famer to go for. And, these are cards. They also did have some hulking. You can definitely see on Piazza's body here. Not the refractor, but you see the hulking on his uniform. It's a really good example of what can happen with these cards. So you got to be careful. One thing that helps this set is they had an amazing rookie class. I know you're not going to rookie cards, but they had Vladimir Guerrero, Scott Rowland, Andrew Jones, all had fantastic rookie cards that came out of this set. We also had, again, my first runner-up is going to be 95 Select Certified. And so Select Certified, this is the first year they ever had mirror golds. And you can truly see the mirror finish.
That was what I had pictured, was a Select Certified.
Yeah, Select Certified. These cards are bonkers, man. They are ultra premium, ultra glossy, reflective. And like I said, the first year mirror golds ever came out, they were not as it was the 96 year they became really, really limited, super, high end, super premium. But these are actually quite affordable, the mirror golds from 95. And so that might be a really great option to explore.
The flash photo just doesn't do the same justice as when you're waving it around in the light there.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. In fact, again, I didn't pull it out because, again, I kept thinking I'm just doing base cards here, base cards only. But I do have a mirror gold somewhere here. Where did it go? Huh. Did I lose track of it? 95. I got the other ones. Huh. I don't know where that went. It's not where it should be. That's okay. The best one, though, I think my winner for 95 is going to be 95 Finest. And so this is the first year that Finest had the protective coating on their cards. And so this, for some reason, I just love this design. Greg Maddox, my guy, happens to have a horizontal picture in this one. But these cards are just stunning. Oh, you know what? I found my mirror gold. Here's my 95 mirror gold. There it was. It was a different stack, what I was looking for there. But just fantastic. I absolutely love that shine. And these were only like something like 1 in 8 packs. They were not that hard to get as far as rarity, scarcity, and the values. You can acquire them pretty affordably too for a beautiful shine. And of course, the 95 Finest also did have a refractor involved there too. Now this one is peeled, and so with the peel, you can see the shine come through a bit easier. These were not serial numbered, but there's a estimated print run of 550 for these refractors from this year. Mm-hmm. And so these are great options. They are a little bit pricier, I think, generally than the 94 Finest refractors, which they had printed quite a bit more than even these, but they kind of reined them in, dialed back the production for that year. But 95 Finest, just for the overall card design, it just barely edges out, I think, 95 Select Certified for me and Bowman's Best. But it's a toss-up. It's very tough because they're all fantastic. So those are my choices for 95.
All right, cool. So, folks, I got so much great footage with these guys that I am going to have to chop it right here and turn this into a 2-part video. So this was going to be the end of part 1. I know we got through 6 out of the 10 years, but it kind of works out time-wise to kind of split this in half at this point, because what ended up happening after we finished 1999 is we started having some extra conversations on both sides of, Brent and Shane, and then Brian later. So it ends up being about the midway point here, because I did not want to make the box set version Lord of the Rings length YouTube baseball card video here.
Frodo, where is Frodo?
So hopefully you enjoyed the first half of this, and you will come back again for when I'm able to put out part 2. So everyone, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is To Be Continued.